Introduction to the setting and characters. The air is thick with the acrid stench of scorched earth and the metallic tang of blood. The ground trembles beneath the pounding of artillery fire, each explosion sending shockwaves through the alien terrain. The sky above is choked with a heavy, oppressive gray, the color of dying stars. The sound of gunfire crackles in the distance, a chaotic symphony of war. This is no ordinary battlefield, it is an alien world, far from the safety of Earth, where humanity has ventured in search of peace, only to be caught in the firestorm of intergalactic conflict. Craig, a seasoned human combat medic, moves swiftly across the war-torn landscape. His breath comes in ragged gasps, sweat beading on his forehead and trickling down his stub-bled jaw. Every step he takes is a calculated risk. His combat boots kick up thick, dusty clouds on the alien soil, the weight of his medical pack familiar and reassuring after 3 long years of serving in combat zones. The sounds of soldiers shouting, of desperate cries for help, cut through the cacophony of battle. "Medic. We need a goddamn medic over here." The voice crackles through the chaos, pulling Greg forward with a sense of purpose. His muscles burn with each stride, but he pushes through the pain, knowing that time is of the essence. His hands are steady, his mind clear. This is what he does. He crests a ridge and sees the scene before him, a circle of panicked alien soldiers, their towering forms imposing in their battle armor, standing around an injured diplomat. Greg's heart skips a beat as his eyes lock on the figure at the center. Unar. She is a striking alien, her red skin now dulled with dust and blood. Her silver hair is matted against her face, and her emerald eyes flutter open weakly. She's cradled in the arms of Commander Thorx, a towering alien soldier, who is trying to stabilize her despite the overwhelming odds. Unar's right leg is gone, vaporized by the explosion of a mine. The stump where her leg once was is raw and bleeding, the tissue shredded beyond recognition. Greg doesn't hesitate. He knows this is a life or death situation, and he is the only one who can do something about it. "Stand back," Greg commands, his voice sharp and authoritative, cutting through the chaos and confusion. The alien soldiers, though reluctant, make way for him, stepping aside as he kneels beside the injured diplomat. Commander Thorx growls in frustration, his mandibles clicking nervously. "She's losing too much blood," Greg observes, his voice calm but urgent. The alien soldiers look on in disbelief. Human medicine is primitive compared to their advanced healing technology, and the idea of Greg performing an intricate surgical procedure on one of their own seems impossible to them. But Greg has something they don't: an unyielding determination to save Unar's life, and a synthetic limb kit that he believes could be the answer. "I can help her," Greg says, his eyes meeting Thorx's. "I have a synthetic limb attachment kit. It's experimental, designed for humans, but it could work for her too. I'll make it work." Thorx's alien features twist in skepticism, his scales and mandibles rigid with doubt. "Impossible," he mutters. "Our medical pods can't handle this kind of trauma in the field. You'll only make things worse." Greg doesn't flinch. "I'm not going to make it worse," he replies, already opening his medical pack and pulling out the synthetic limb. It's sleek and futuristic, a gunmetal gray with flexible joints designed for human anatomy. He knows it's not a perfect fit for Unar's alien physiology, but it's the only chance they have. "Move her now, and she might never walk again," Greg warns. His voice is firm, unyielding. "But I won't let that happen. I'll make this work." As Greg begins to prepare the synthetic leg, the tension in the air is palpable. The alien soldiers watch with a mix of disbelief and awe. Commander Thorx's eyes narrow, and for a moment, Greg wonders if the commander is going to stop him, to force him to abandon the mission. But then, Unar's voice cuts through the tension, weak but steady. "Do it," she whispers, her emerald eyes locking with Greg's. There is something in her gaze, trust, desperation, and perhaps something more. Greg can't quite place it, but in that moment, he knows he has to succeed. He has no choice. "I'll need space, clean water, and someone to assist me," Greg instructs. The alien soldiers shift uneasily, their hesitation clear. But Unar speaks again, her voice strong despite the pain. "I trust you, human. Let him do it." Greg takes a deep breath, steeling himself for what lies ahead. The battlefield, with all its chaos and destruction, fades away. All that matters now is Unar, and the impossible task before him. He moves with the practiced precision of a seasoned medic, his hands steady despite the pressure mounting around him. As he works, there are moments of excruciating silence. Unar's pain is evident, but she grits her teeth, determined not to show weakness. The synthetic limb is difficult to attach, the neural pathways of her alien physiology not aligning perfectly with the human technology. Greg adjusts the settings, making rapid modifications with components from his kit. Sweat drips from his brow, stinging his eyes as he continues to work. Unar's grip tightens on his arm, her claws digging into his skin. "How much longer?" she asks, her voice weak but filled with determination. "Just a few more minutes," Greg replies, his voice strained. "I promise you, we're almost there." The battle rages on in the distance, but Greg is focused, his mind singularly dedicated to saving Unar. Her life depends on him now. And as the final adjustments are made, Greg knows that no matter the odds, he will see this through. The harsh, alien landscape stretches before them, a vast expanse of jagged rock formations, sparse vegetation, and swirling dust clouds. The air is thick with an unfamiliar, musky scent, a mix of burnt ozone and strange flora. The sky overhead is a haunting shade of violet, tinged with swirling clouds that move in unnatural patterns, as though even the atmosphere here is restless. Greg, carrying his medical pack and supporting Unar as they make their way through the unforgiving terrain, notices how the ground beneath them seems to pulse with an eerie, low hum, as though the planet itself is alive. The further they travel, the more the landscape grows alien, like a living nightmare. The trees here are tall, twisted things with bark that seems to shimmer in the dim light, their roots coiling out of the ground like serpents. The air feels charged, the silence almost too heavy, broken only by the soft crunch of their footsteps and the occasional screech of distant, unseen creatures. Unar's synthetic leg, sleek and gunmetal gray, hums softly with each step she takes. Its joints move fluidly, mimicking the natural gait of her alien body. But despite the advanced technology, there are glitches. The leg sometimes stutters, her movements jerky, as if the interface between her nervous system and the artificial limb is still not fully synchronized. Her sharp intake of breath when the leg fails her for the first time is a sound Greg won't soon forget. They're 6 hours from the nearest safe camp, and they have no choice but to press on. Unar looks at Greg, her emerald eyes reflecting a mixture of pain and determination. Her silver hair is now loose, fluttering in the wind like a banner of defiance against the oppressive, violet sky. She's trying to maintain composure, but every step seems to cost her. The malfunctioning limb has left her vulnerable, and she struggles to keep up with Greg's pace. "Greg," she says, her voice trembling slightly but strong nonetheless. "I never thought I would be here, on this world, at this moment." She stumbles, but Greg catches her, his hand firm around her waist, steadying her. "Don't worry," Greg says softly, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. "We'll get through this." But even as he says the words, he feels the weight of their situation pressing down on him. Time is running out. The enemy is out there, and they can't afford to be caught. As they continue their trek, the tension between them begins to ebb away, replaced by a mutual understanding. The battlefields of their respective worlds may be different, but the toll of war is the same. As they move, Greg begins to notice little things about Unar: the way she shifts her weight with each step, the way her eyes linger on the horizon, lost in thought. "You never told me about your world," Greg says, trying to break the silence. "What's it like?" Unar pauses for a moment, her gaze distant as she searches for the words. "My planet is beautiful, in its own way. We have vast deserts with shimmering, golden sands. Our oceans are dark and deep, and the skies are always painted with colors you've never seen. But it's also a place of hardship. We fight for every resource, every inch of ground. And we have learned not to trust outsiders." Greg's brow furrows. "Outsiders? You mean, like humans?" She nods, her eyes meeting his. "Yes. Your species is new to the galaxy. You're still trying to find your place, and that makes you dangerous. But," she pauses, her voice softening, "you're also capable of more than I thought. You have something that many species lack: hope. You believe things can get better. And that's why I trust you, Greg." The words hang between them, heavy with the weight of their shared vulnerability. The journey ahead is uncertain, but something in Unar's eyes tells Greg that perhaps, despite the chaos and the violence that surrounds them, they can find a glimmer of something more. The landscape grows more treacherous with each passing hour. Jagged rocks and sharp inclines challenge their every step. Unar's synthetic leg begins to stutter more frequently now, locking up entirely at times, forcing her to rely on Greg for support. "Hold on," Greg mutters as he carefully adjusts the interface on her leg, his fingers flying over the controls of his tablet. The hum of the synthetic limb fluctuates, the neural pathways struggling to integrate with Unar's alien physiology. Sweat drips from his forehead as he works under pressure, knowing that each second counts. But the landscape isn't their only threat. The distant hum of a patrol ship's engines echoes through the valley. The enemy is closing in, their patrols relentless. Unar's eyes widen, her alien senses picking up the subtle vibrations in the air, warning her of the danger approaching. "We can't outrun them," Unar whispers, her voice filled with both fear and resolve. "Not in this terrain." Greg's heart races. He knows they have to keep moving, but the landscape offers little in terms of cover. The alien forest is dense with twisted trees, but the ground is uneven, and their pursuers will spot them easily. "Can you keep going?" Greg asks, looking into her eyes. He doesn't want to show his doubt, but the reality of their situation is setting in. Unar straightens, though her body trembles from the strain. "I'll manage. You're not rid of me that easily." And so, they push forward, moving with greater urgency. Unar's leg begins to lock up again, causing her to stumble, but Greg catches her in time, steadying her. He doesn't say anything, but the worry is clear in his eyes. The longer they delay, the more dangerous their situation becomes. The enemy is closing in, and the terrain offers no shelter. They must press on, no matter the cost. The physical toll of the journey is taking its toll on both of them. The air grows thicker, more suffocating as the alien forest seems to close in around them. But through the exhaustion and the ever-present danger, something shifts between Greg and Unar. Their conversations become less about the journey and more about their pasts. Greg opens up about his life on Earth, the family he left behind, the friends who died in battles he never wanted to fight. Unar listens, her emerald eyes never leaving his face. And though her species is vastly different, her empathy transcends their differences. She speaks of her struggles, how her people, the Sen, have always been at war with their neighbors, how peace is a fragile thing for them. It's hard, she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. To trust. To believe that peace is possible. But, you make me wonder, Greg. Maybe there's a way. Maybe we can find a way to stop the fighting. Greg smiles, but it's a sad, weary smile. I hope so, he replies, though doubt lingers in his heart. But for now, as they share the journey, as their lives intertwine in this alien wilderness, the bond between them grows stronger. The differences between them, alien and human, seem less important. They are, in this moment, just two beings fighting to survive in a universe that doesn't care about their differences. As they approach the final stretch of their journey, the air grows colder, and the distant rumble of enemy ships can be heard in the distance. But Greg and Unar, despite the fear, despite the pain, know one thing: they are not alone. They have each other. And together, they will face whatever challenges come their way. The path to the temple is a shadowed one, an ancient structure built into the side of a jagged mountain. The stone walls seem to pulse with an eerie energy, their surface etched with symbols that no human could understand. The air grows colder the closer they get, a biting wind sweeping down from the peaks, carrying with it the scent of distant storms. Greg and Unar approach the entrance, a great archway framed by towering statues of long-forgotten deities, their features worn down by time. As they move deeper into the temple's inner sanctum, the ground beneath their feet becomes smoother, and the air turns thick with the scent of old incense, as though the very stones of the temple are alive with ancient power. The faint glow of bioluminescent fungi lines the path, casting an unsettling light over the walls, which are adorned with murals depicting the rise and fall of civilizations long past. Unar's steps falter slightly, her synthetic leg making a faint hum as it adjusts with each step. She glances at Greg, her emerald eyes filled with a mixture of hope and dread. "This place," she whispers, her voice a mere breath against the silence, "it holds the key to everything. If we can convince them to lay down their weapons, the war could end." But as they reach the heart of the temple, the grand hall where the peace summit is meant to take place, the air shifts. It becomes dense, almost suffocating, and the shadows around them seem to lengthen and twist, as though the walls themselves are conspiring to hide something. Greg feels a cold shiver run down his spine. His instincts, those sharp, battle-honed senses, prickle with unease. Something is wrong. From the shadows steps Commander Thorx, his massive form looming, flanked by several of the dreary soldiers. But his expression is different now, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction, his eyes cold and calculating. The trust that Greg had felt for him is shattered in an instant. "I see you've made it," Thorx says, his voice dripping with contempt, the words echoing through the temple. "But you're too late. The negotiations have already concluded." Greg's heart skips a beat. "What the hell are you talking about?" His voice is low, tense, the words barely a whisper of the disbelief he feels. Unar, standing beside him, suddenly goes still. Her eyes, wide with shock, flicker between Greg and Thorx. "No," she breathes, as realization dawns. "You betrayed us, you." Thorx steps forward, his scaled face twisted in a sneer. "I didn't betray you. I secured my survival. The Drari offered me a deal, peace at any cost. The summit is nothing but a charade. I had to choose, Unar. You should have chosen differently." The words land like a blow. Greg's hands tighten into fists, but he knows this is not the time for anger. Unar's life, everything they've fought for, is now hanging in the balance. With a sudden motion, Thorx signals to the dreary soldiers behind him. The temple's grand hall is flooded with the sound of energy weapons powering up. The hum of plasma rifles fills the air, and Greg knows there's no way out through the front door. Run! Greg barks, grabbing Unar by the arm and pulling her toward the nearest passage. The walls of the temple seem to close in, the very stones betraying them, their smooth surfaces offering no traction for escape. The dreary soldiers move forward, their weapons trained on the pair, but Greg doesn't stop. The sound of their boots echoing against the stone floors is drowned by the sharp crackle of energy bolts that streak past them, narrowly missing. Unar stumbles as her synthetic leg locks up again, but Greg doesn't hesitate. He scoops her up in his arms, ignoring the strain on his own muscles as they push forward. The path through the temple narrows, winding through dark, labyrinthine corridors that seem to stretch forever. The air is damp and thick with the scent of decay. Unar's breath is labored, and Greg can feel her weight shift in his arms, but he presses on, determined to keep her alive. "Stay with me, Unar," Greg says, his voice ragged with exhaustion, though he doesn't dare stop. "We're almost there." The distant hum of dreary pursuit echoes through the hallways, the sound growing louder with each passing second. The walls around them seem to shift, almost as if the temple itself is alive, its ancient stone whispering warnings of the doom they are racing toward. Suddenly, the temple floor beneath their feet begins to tremble, a deep, rumbling sound reverberating from deep within the mountain. The walls shake, and dust falls from the ceiling. The dreary are bringing in reinforcements, but Greg and Unar are running out of time. The temple is crumbling around them. "We have to move faster," Greg mutters through gritted teeth. "We can't outrun them forever." Ahead, he sees a faint light, the exit. But it's still a long way off, and the enemies are closing in. The sound of the dreary soldiers' pursuit is deafening now, their heavy steps reverberating in the narrow halls. Greg's heart races, and he pushes Unar to move faster, using every ounce of his strength to keep them ahead of the enemy. He knows he must get her out of the temple before it collapses, before it's too late. Finally, they burst out of the temple into the open air, the sun dimming behind the jagged peaks. They've made it, but the danger isn't over. The dreary ship hovers above them, its engines glowing a sickly green, casting an eerie light over the surrounding landscape. Greg can feel the heat of the plasma bolts hitting the ground around them as they scramble toward cover. Unar's synthetic leg stutters again, the neural pathways not syncing in time with her desperate movement. Her face pales with the strain, but she doesn't falter. She's come too far to give up now. "We're almost there," Greg mutters, his voice a promise, as they reach the edge of the cliff overlooking a vast, alien forest. The dreary forces close in, their weapons aimed at them, but they won't stop. Not yet. Greg looks at Unar, her silver hair shimmering in the fading light, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and fear. Despite everything, despite the betrayal, despite the war, they've made it this far together. "Will you make it?" Greg asks quietly, his voice soft as he looks into her emerald eyes. Unar meets his gaze, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "We'll find a way," she says, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We've made it this far." Together, they face the horizon. The road ahead is uncertain, filled with dangers they cannot foresee, but in this moment, they have survived. And no matter what comes next, their bond is unbreakable, forged in the fires of conflict and trust. Their future is unwritten, but they will face it together, one step at a time. The soft hum of the medical station's engines reverberates through the sleek metallic walls, a steady reminder of the place's sterile calm. The windows of the station offer a panoramic view of the planet below, a rich, blue world with sprawling oceans, vibrant continents, and swirling clouds that seem to ripple across the surface. It's a sight both familiar and distant. The contrast between the chaos of their past and the serenity of this moment is stark. Greg stands at the observation deck, his hands resting lightly on the cool glass. The planet below is calm, untouched by the violence of their journey. But in his mind, the battlefields they left behind still rage. His thoughts are heavy, the weight of their shared experiences pressing on him like the gravity of the planet itself. Behind him, the soft click of footsteps breaks the silence, and Greg turns. Unar enters the room, her silver hair flowing behind her like a ghostly veil, a symbol of both grace and strength. Her features have softened since the journey. They are no longer tense with the immediacy of survival. Yet, the scars of war still linger in her eyes, the same haunting emerald gaze that Greg has come to know so well. She wears a formal diplomatic robe now, the black fabric shimmering with a subtle metallic sheen that reflects the low lighting of the room. Her synthetic leg, now a seamless part of her, moves with the fluidity of a natural limb, though Greg knows how much effort it took to reach this point. The neural pathways are finally synchronized, and the constant pain she once felt has ebbed, replaced by the quiet resilience that has come to define her. "You're not looking out there again, are you?" Unar asks, her voice a soft melody that cuts through the silence. Greg turns back to the window, his gaze tracing the curve of the planet. "Just thinking," he replies, his tone measured. "About everything we've been through, and everything still ahead." Unar steps up beside him, her presence steadying him as much as the silence of the station. "We've made it this far, Greg. And no matter what comes next, we've shown that change is possible." Greg's eyes flicker to her face, searching for the hidden emotions that lie beneath her composed exterior. The war, the betrayal, the journey, they've all shaped them, but now they must face the uncertainty of a future that is as foreign as the planets they've crossed. "Do you think it's possible?" Greg asks, his voice low. "To really change things? To make the galaxy a place where we aren't just fighting for survival?" Unar's lips curve into a faint, wistful smile. "I've seen things, Greg. The galaxy is vast, and its peoples are as varied as the stars themselves. But what I've learned is that despite our differences, we all have something in common. We are driven by the same need for connection, for understanding. Maybe that's all we need to start." Greg takes a deep breath, the weight of her words settling over him like a gentle rain. The future seems less daunting now, somehow, as though the impossible barriers between their species could, in time, be overcome. Unar's eyes shift, and she glances at the small data pad in her hands. The device flickers with information, mission reports, diplomatic schedules, updates on the fragile peace talks that have begun to unfold in the aftermath of the summit. It's clear that the path ahead is still uncertain, filled with challenges. "I've been offered a new post," she says, her voice steady, yet there is a flicker of something deeper in her eyes. "A diplomatic posting to the Coalition's Central Council. I'll be working closely with the other species, negotiating, building relationships, and ensuring that peace holds." Greg looks at her, his brow furrowing with a touch of concern. "And what does that mean for us?" Unar's gaze softens, her eyes meeting his with a quiet intensity. "It means that I'll be further away, yes. But it also means that I can make a difference. We both can." She pauses, her lips parting slightly as she continues, "We have a unique opportunity now, Greg. you've been tasked with bridging the gap between species as well. Your work, your understanding of our world, it's invaluable. We can both contribute to shaping the future. Greg nods slowly, the realization settling in. He's always seen himself as just a medic, a soldier doing his part, but now the stakes are higher. His role has expanded beyond the battlefield. He's been asked to heal the divides between civilizations, to build understanding where there once was only suspicion. It's a daunting task, but it's also a necessary one. You're right, Greg says, his voice steady now. We've fought to survive. Now, we have to fight for something greater. For something that lasts. There is a brief moment of silence between them, the weight of their shared journey hanging in the air. But then Unar takes a step closer to Greg, her presence comforting, a quiet strength radiating from her. She reaches out and places her hand on his arm, her fingers warm against the cool fabric of his uniform. We've both lost so much, Unar murmurs, her voice soft and full of unspoken understanding. But we've also gained something. Something rare. Something worth fighting for. Greg turns toward her, his eyes locking with hers. In that moment, the vastness of the galaxy doesn't seem so infinite, the obstacles ahead don't feel so insurmountable. They've come through the fire together, and now, standing side by side, they have the chance to forge something new, something that transcends the war, the division, the hatred that has plagued their peoples for so long. Whatever comes next, Greg says, his voice low but full of determination, we face it together. Unar's smile is soft but resolute. Together. As they stand in the quiet of the medical station, looking out over the planet they once thought was beyond reach, there's a sense of peace, a fragile hope that perhaps, despite the odds, they can create something better, a future where the galaxy's diverse inhabitants can find common ground. And in that future, despite the many challenges they'll face, they know they'll find each other again, time and time again. Together, they will make it. One step at a time. Thank you for exploring the UFO enigma with us. If you enjoyed the journey into the unknown, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the next mind-bending discovery. The mysteries of the universe are vast, and we're just getting started. Stay tuned, stay curious, and remember, the truth is out there, and we're here to find it together.